Welcome to our social impact, brought to you by the Prison Scholar Fund. The PSF's mission is to provide education and employment assistance to help currently and formerly incarcerated people succeed and thrive in society, while avoiding homelessness and the revolving door of reincarceration. The PSF also advocates for reform in correctional education to increase opportunity for all. As a nonprofit, we rely on investments, volunteers, and are always looking for board members to champion our mission. Please connect with us through our website at prisonscholars.org, where you can find volunteer opportunities, make a contribution, and learn more about becoming a board member. You can also email us at info@prisonscholars.org and find us through most social media platforms at Prison Scholars. Become a patron by supporting us directly at Patreon with @PrisonScholars. We appreciate your review of this podcast through whatever platform you listen through. Without further ado, here's Dirk van Velzen, founder and CEO of the Prison Scholar Fund.
Welcome to our social impact. Today we have Salena Taylor. So I just met you today, so this is a brand new thing, so I'm going to learn about you as we talk.
Okay.
So tell me all about yourself.
Okay, well, I'm Salena. We did just meet today through Hakeem. I go to class out here at Jackson College. I've been knowing Hakeem for basically all my life. And when he started this movement on trying to end mass incarceration, that's sort of where I came in. I've been incarcerated before. It has affected my life greatly.
Oh yeah, tell me your story. How did you end up in prison, and then also, how did you end up in college? So that's a great transition.
Yeah, they kind of go together a little bit, so I'll tell you a little bit about it. In 2005, I went to prison for selling drugs, and I got out in 2009, and I began to go through the system of things once you get home from incarceration, and it was really hard after doing all the years in prison and then coming home and jumping through all the loops that were out here waiting for me.
Yeah, talk about the transition, because there's so many barriers that you face.
The transition for a woman, a mother, it was horrific. I'm still not fully transitioned, and I've been home for 9 years. One of the first things I was met with when I got released the very same day, I was met with a list of about 24 instructions of things that I had to do.
For your probation, parole? Okay.
And what I found most difficult is that I had just came home. I had been incarcerated for years. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any job skills. And I didn't have a vehicle. But I had a whole entire list of instructions that I needed to follow. Most of the instructions were filled with classes and mandatory classes that I had already taken while I was in prison.
Kind of like their behavior change theory classes, things like that.
Yeah, things like that. Drug classes, AA, which some of the things don't even apply to you, especially if you're not an alcoholic and if you weren't a drug addict. But what I found out is if you sell drugs, you're gonna have to go through all of this stuff anyway.
You're in the same pools.
It's a program type thing. So
did you have a drug addiction too, or were you just making money?
I was just making money. They considered me like a career criminal, so I wasn't understanding all the classes and stuff that I had to take. But I learned later on that it's just a part of the system and what you have to do to get through it. So again, I've been home for almost 9 years, and I never got rehabilitated. I never felt from them. I felt once that I got home from doing the prison time, I felt more barriers getting home.
Yeah, it's like, so we're not really in the city here, so what was it like to try to exist without a license?
It was terrible. There was a lot of standing out in the cold, waiting for bus stops. There was a lot of walking in the wintertime with no choice.
And we're in Michigan, so that's
and
not,
we're
that's
in
not
Michigan.
warm.
And it was like, we have below zero weather here, and some of that weather, me and my children felt that trying to get to where we needed to get get business handled. You have to handle business in life. And so that is where I met up with Hakeem some years later. Recently here in the last couple years, he's been on this mission to kind of fight for changes within the criminal department prison system. And I started thinking about that, like, wow, a lot of that stuff has affected me. And so I began to start using my voice and telling a little bit of my story about how it's been for me since being home from incarceration as a woman. We don't hear much of that from women.
Yeah. It's funny how the system is really kind of stacked against you in some ways. Like in my case, I got 15 years for commercial burglaries, which is basically breaking into warehouses and businesses. So that's clearly wrong. But right when I got sentenced, the prosecutor was kind of mad because I took a deal, and I think she wanted me to do more time. So she's looking at hoping I was going to do 25 years. So since she didn't get that, she says, okay, I'm going to invoke RCW, whatever it was, and says, because you use a vehicle in the commission of a crime, we're going to take your driver's license away for 3 years. So in her mind, after I do 15 years in prison, then I would not have a driver's license for 3 years as I'm trying to transition out and get a job. But the funny part about that was when I got sentenced is when the judge started that clock ticking. So from 2001 to 2004, I didn't have a driver's license. But I was also in prison at the time, so it didn't matter.
Wow.
But she intended for, in addition to all this time we're going to give you, we're also going to take your license and make it really hard for you to transition.
So you do understand that it's a lot of barriers to coming home from incarceration, while from the inside you're all excited, thinking you're coming home.
Woo-hoo.
You got all this freedom coming, your family, and once you set your feet to the pavement of freedom, it is not like that at all. It's like you went from one prison to another prison, and only this prison just happens to be in the outside world.
And that's the prison you're talking about. It has to do with was it parole you're under, or
It's
probation?
parole. It's
Okay.
definitely parole. And even in the parole system, some of us get put right on the tether. You know, they have those tethers they put on your ankle.
Oh, you got the ankle monitor.
Oh, yeah, they put
Okay.
those right on you too, along with your parole, and then they expect you to go out and get a job with a big refrigerator on your ankle.
Yeah, and do they charge you too for the
Yeah, and you
monitoring?
pay for that, and you get it on while you don't have money, while you're still unemployed. You still.
So what do they charge you for the monitoring?
It's like if you're not employed, they charge like $15 a week. That adds up really quick, depending on how long you have to be on it. Sometimes they put you on it for 6 months, so you know you can kind of do the math on that.
Yeah,
But
they figure you're high risk, so we'll.
when you're desperate to just be out here, you just find ways to pay it.
Yeah.
You know, you feel like I'm on tether, and that's better than jail or prison, but really it's not, because what you're doing is you're accumulating debt that you already can't afford,
Yeah, it's
all
just-
from trying to just be free.
So what's it like to try to get a job? Now you don't have a card, you got the tether, you're now you need to find a place to live and a job.
This is why I'm here in the college now. I call it better late than never. I left the prison with only a GED. They know everything about you when you leave. They know if you're sick. They know everything when you leave these prisons, because they're responsible for you. So when I left the prison, of course I didn't have any money. I had a parole agent. She gave me all these lists of things to do. I couldn't find a job good enough to take care of myself and pay everything, let alone my probation fee. You know, parole isn't free.
Yeah.
The minute you get out, the day they hand you that paper, you have money obligations to whatever state you're in. You have monthly or weekly money obligations that you must pay them. So employment right away is required. Like, they want you to have a job ASAP.
That's part of condition, yeah.
But yet, once you get out into the world is not ready for you. The parole officers are ready to give out the employment rules, the class rules, and all this stuff, but the world and the systems are not designed nor prepared to help you as an ex-felon and as a prisoner that just got home.
So if you could like wave your magic wand and make it the transition process better, what would you do?
The first thing that needs to be done, honestly, is that when a judge sentenced you to, let's just say, for me, I got 4 years. So when my 4 years was up, I just wanted to be let out of that gate. What's all the extra? The classes, my money, the rules on me, the curfews. Now, I feel strongly that those things should apply to child sex offenders only. Even a murderer has murdered, done their time, and they need to transition in the world to freedom again. But a child sex offender needs to be watched, healed, monitored, and helped. A thief, a check writer, a drug dealer, all we need to do is transition into getting the proper help we need once doing the years of incarceration for our original crimes. Now, all that reoffending is an individual thing. We don't need to be kept up with as reoffenders, because what are the court buildings for? What are the police for? This, I've been in it, so I feel like it was another form of slavery for me. I still feel it today as 9 years of being home. I felt like this entire time that I've been home from incarceration, that I have jumped through slavery hoops to get here. Minimum wage jobs, working 2 of them at a time to try to make one decent amount of money. It never worked. When you have children and a family, you have criminal stuff on your record, and everywhere you go to try to get a good job, they hold you down because of that. We have to do something about that. I felt like, and I still feel like, I've been in prison after leaving prison.
Yeah. And how long were you on parole for?
I was on parole for 2.5 years. That was a long 2.5 years.
Was that like a 2.5 years of? Did you get a good time, and that's where the 2.5 year window came from?
No. What happens is when you get out of parole, when you get out of prison, I don't know who actually makes that choice for you, but they choose how long.
Somebody decides.
Yeah, someone decides how long you are going to be monitored in your own home, in your community. Someone decides that, and the time of it is never small. It always has to be over a year. So I did like 2.5 years. I did a successful parole, of course, because I was scared. I didn't want to get locked back up. But the way that the world is set up for us people that have felony backgrounds, I know if people spoke up and told the truth, a lot of us have reoffended from trying to get money. The minimum wage jobs, the under the table jobs have not been enough. And sometimes you do things and you reoffend. And that has happened to me within the 9 years of being home. I reoffended again, and thank God I didn't go back to prison, but that kind of made me get my life like all the way turned. And
oh yeah. So what happened in that case?
Were
you working your 2 minimum wage jobs?
Well, I was working a minimum wage job, and I wasn't getting enough money, and I ended up getting involved, taking someone to go stealing, and they got my license plate. So I got charged. My car got in a bunch of trouble. I got in a bunch of trouble for that, but I looked at it as a sober wake-up call lesson, because I didn't get sent back to prison, and that right there is what made me turn my life around.
So that was a good or lucky happenstance. Like, why did they not reincarcerate you?
What happened was, because of people like Hakeem out here pushing for different, they had some kind of program going on in the court that if you had a prior record and you reoffended again. I basically did this program, and the program kept me out of prison.
Okay.
It took a lot of my money. Of course, you have to pay. So my minimum wage job, I basically started working for the court again.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens when you get involved with the criminal system.
So it sounds like you needed more money, so this time you picked up another minimum wage job. Mm-hmm. And so what was your transition, or what was your path to Jackson College?
How I got here to college is because I started thinking about the GED that I left home from prison 9 years ago. And I thought, God, how come nobody ever told me to further educate since I've been home? No one ever
So
taught.
Education wasn't strong in your family?
No, not at all.
Are you a first-time college student?
I am.
Congratulations.
I am. And it was a decision that I made because of my family composition, how no one in my family went to college, how this was always a barrier.
And how did you have that conversation with yourself? Or did somebody just ask you?
My mom died this month 2 years ago.
Sorry to hear that.
And so when she died, I started realizing, oh my God, it goes just like that. Like, you're well one moment and you're down the next. and you can die.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it's going to go for pretty much all of us if you don't get killed or murdered. But when I saw that happen to my mom, I decided, oh my God, I got to do something to change the composition of my family. Like, I need to break generational curses here. All of us have to do that when something is going on in our family over and over again. And for me, it was education and criminal. It goes together. If you're not educated, you're not in the running of the way that they have fixed the world. And so I kept thinking, if I don't do something to get better, I'm going to be the same and possibly go backwards. I want to move forward. So that is where college light bulb came over my head. Like, it's never too late. You know,
Did you know Hakeem before this point?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I knew Hakeem before.
You saw kind of what he was doing.
And he was really proud of me too when I decided that I'm gonna go and get myself enrolled.
Let's try this college thing. Yeah.
I'm gonna go get myself enrolled in college, see what it's all about, if I can fit myself in there and just learn things from the ground up, because it is always better late than never. And it's going to be a lot of people come home from prison like I did, and they're not going to be thinking about re-educating themselves or coming into college, but it should be pretty much the first thing that we do to people that are coming out of college. Coming out of prison. We need to direct them here to colleges so that they can learn the skills. I've been out for 9 years and I don't have any skills.
Yeah, so it sounds like your path here was through Hakeem in a way. What was your reception as a formerly incarcerated person at a college? And I know the college actually has a really great prison education program.
I didn't come through their prison education program because they don't have that here quite for women as strongly as they do for men. But I know when I came here, my story was just out there. They knew about my story. And this college has encouraged me in so many ways that I have not dropped out, or I have not left and felt like this is not
Very
worthy
supportive.
of anything. So I have been here for over a year working on my degree. I have, over a year left to continue working, but...
Oh, and what degree?
I'm working on business degree.
Nice.
In business administration, yeah. I think we should all work on that, because when you have a felony background, coming in and getting your own business degree will be helpful for you later.
Yeah, because you can start your own company.
Or whatever you want to
nobody's
do.
not going to buy. Nobody's not going to not buy your product because you're a felon.
That's
but
right.
They might not hire you.
See?
Yeah.
And I think we have to find some kind of way to be impactful on the world of people, to be forgiving once we come home from prison.
And how did you feel that the rest of the students dealt with you? Did a lot of people know your story?
Oh yeah, right away I found a way to get right into the college and find a way to tell my story. What better way
You're just owning it, yeah.
Than to do it right here on campus. So I found my way here within the first 60 days of being on campus. I found my way to the multicultural director here. I let them know what I was doing, what I had been through, and immediately I was able to get in and talk to a group of strong young girls here that are, I think they're called the Sisterhood Ministry or something like that they have going on here. No, the Sisters of Merit, because they have the Men of Merit too. But I got right in. I was able to speak with these ladies. I made a great impact on them. And I'm doing that in the community as well.
Very cool. So what do you want to do with your business degree?
Well, right now I'm working with women and children. I started an organization from the ground up called Partial to Girls.
Really?
It's about 25 of us women in there. And what we do is we just take action on any issues going on in our community. People reach out to us. We've helped, I can't count anymore how many people we've been able to help, how many girls we've helped to transition from being sexually abused, from leaving their home to have to go to another home. So
is this an informal organization? Or
it's
or is it a 501c3 nonprofit?
Not yet, but I'm going to turn it to that.
There you go.
I'm
The
gonna
business
turn
degree
it to
might
that.
help.
That's right. It's going to help me. So I like to talk about what I'm doing because I want people to be hopeful about what they can do.
Yeah, tell me all about it.
Well, I've been home for 9 years, and I'm going to tell you some things I've been able to do since being home. This year, I will be doing my third sock drive for children we do schools. Like, we are literally getting
You get
children
socks.
warm at school. I just won the Susan B. Anthony Leadership Award about 6 months ago in June.
Congratulations. Is that through the state?
Yeah.
Nice.
I
Now, I don't know the history of Susan B. Anthony. Is she a Michigan person or
Yeah,
what?
well, she did some really great things back in history as far as slavery and helping slaves. So me being associated with her name and winning an award, I feel really proud of that one there.
Yeah.
I'm also vice chair of Jackson Citizen Advisory Council. We have done a lot of major work in Jackson. We just had a huge summer fest that brought out over 400 people. We just put a huge art mural up on Martin Luther King Boulevard Street here in Jackson. We chose some people in the community who had done some great things that are no longer with us. We had them painted up on this beautiful mural. Hakeem was a part of that too. Really great work we did on that. I'm proud of that. I also am the founder of the Parcel to Girls group organization. And I just last night finished up a presentation that I put together for Hakeem's trauma series. I did the trauma in African American girls, and it was a really good presentation. I'm proud of myself. I think a lot of people, well, I know a lot of women got help from that because they contacted me
Nice.
and let me know.
So you're pretty effectively shattering the image of what an ex-con is.
I'm shattering it.
Yeah.
I'm shattering it not only as a woman, but I'm shattering it as a black woman. I'm shattering it just like you're shattering. I mean, you're here today, and I'm already encouraged by you saying what you were locked up for, and we're literally sitting here doing a podcast.
Yeah, how crazy is
And
that?
it isn't crazy. It's because we deserve to live again.
Absolutely.
It's just so simple. Like, we deserve to live again. Even sex offenders, murderers, we deserve to live again.
Yeah, we definitely deserve to live again. You know, we completed our sentence. We should be able to shake that off, learn our lesson and move on.
And move on.
So what's your favorite program you're running? So you're doing so many things.
Yeah, I'm doing so many things and I can't choose a favorite because I love them all, because all of them are bringing people forward.
And how do you find time to go to school when you're doing 10 other things?
Well, I'm going to tell you, my biggest motivation for energy is I remember the steel cement cell that I was in. I remember that flat mattress that was standard for all prisoners, cracked up, broken.
The stainless steel toilet?
I remember the cold stainless steel toilet, the cold winters with a lack of heat, like we were nothing, like we didn't need to be heated up properly. I remember being very hot. So it's all those things that drive me. I remember those things as a woman. I remember other women crying, getting bad news about their children in prison, where we are not allowed to just call when we feel like. You know how that goes if
Yeah.
you were there. So it's just a lot, and that keeps me energized.
Nice.
There'll be more and more younger women and men that are going to need people like me and you. They don't need the big systems. They need people like me and you to help them and show them the direction in which they can go, and that they can be free and stay free like you and I.
So it sounds like you're really involved in kind of a lot of leadership and direct action programs.
Yes.
Are you in the advocacy campaign also with Hakeem?
Well, I'm going to, like he said, he's going to try to get me there next year, but as of right now, I'm just advocating on using my own voice on my own time like I do. I keep my Facebook busy. I get a lot of engagement there on my Facebook from people because my goal is to keep our young children out of prison. And we can do that. We can do that. That's not a big deal. All we need to do is what we're doing now, using our own voice, telling our own stories, and taking every opportunity that we get to talk to children.
Yeah, your story is so important. It's like, I've been there, it's messed up. Mm-hmm. It's not the end of the life.
It's not, and that's what we have to continue to do. A lot of people are ashamed to talk about what got them incarcerated, why, and that is where freedom is at. Your story of your pain that you have already been through and you are free now, that is the release for someone else. And if we don't find courage to start telling why we did, what happened to us, did anything bad happen when we were incarcerated? It's these stories. Did we see anything bad when we were incarcerated? These are the raw stories that will help other people and children especially not to even want to go to where we went.
Yeah. So tell me about one of your other programs. Kind of like, what do you do there? How do you attract your clients? Maybe some great success stories.
I'll talk a little bit about Jackson Advisory Council. There's about 20 of us in that group as well, and we're an open public group. And what we do is we go out, we go to city council, we speak against them and some of the things that they are doing in our neighborhoods. We speak out against homelessness. We have a lot of homelessness going on right now.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like in Seattle is a major problem. What's it like over here?
Oh my gosh, it is. We're much smaller than Seattle, but I bet our homeless problem is just as big as Seattle. So,
do you have people living in tents? And
Yeah.
Your winters are so harsh. So what do they do in the winter?
So, I'm glad you asked that question because it does need to get talked about. We only have 2 shelters here. One of them is for women, and one of the shelters are like the main for the family, and it is very small. Like very small. It houses under 100 families, so that should show you how small it is. They're sleeping on streets, on benches, behind buildings, in cars if they have them. People are sleeping anywhere they can, and just because you're sleeping anywhere you can does not mean you're warm.
Definitely not.
Do you understand? It does not mean you're warm just because you're sleeping anywhere you can. We have to end homelessness. It's not right. No human being should be sleeping on the ground. No human being should not have anywhere to sleep just because they don't have money. Money is paper. We need to find a way to end homelessness some kind of way.
Somehow as a community come together.
Some kind of way because, you and I are split between states, but yet we see the same stuff. You turn your news on, it's everywhere. So it's something to homelessness, and it has to end. If we all know about it, and I'm telling you what it is, why people are not taking it serious. A lot of people haven't felt homelessness. I have, and many other Americans have. It is horrific to not have a home to lay in. If you had a home and you didn't have a bed, a couch, or chair, you would not care because you had a home.
Yeah, that's true.
But when you don't have a home, you don't have a house, a chair, a bed, you don't have shelter.
Yeah, and a lot of people are just one paycheck away from being homeless.
A lot of people, and they're scared.
Yeah.
People are working at their job right now afraid if they're going to lose their home next month, if they're going to lose their little apartment that they're renting. Some people don't have family support. These agencies are locking up and going home at 4 and 5, and people are out here hurting so bad. And this is what the buildings are supposed to be for. The systems are supposed to be for emergencies. We're not getting help because people are homeless.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It is terrible.
So is this going to be your next project?
I'm going to homelessness is going to be number 1 always on my list because I just think a whole bunch of people can advocate for that, and we can reach to the top, and we can do something about that.
Sounds like you might run for what kind of positions do you have you could run for?
Well, I need to look into that because as you know, they have even blocked us out of that. We're not even good enough people to run for certain things because of our felony.
Oh, I didn't know there was barriers.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
you can vote. Like, when can you vote in Michigan? Is it after you're off probation or parole, or is it?
I think it's after you're off probation or parole, and then there's no timing after that. You just need to be off.
Like every state has different. Like some states,
every state has different rules, and that sucks. We need rules, but we don't need so many when it comes to us.
Yeah, you're still a citizen of America.
I'm still a citizen, and I did my time.
Yeah.
That's that keeps rolling through my mind is how people are doing their time and getting out to more barriers.
It's funny. There's a woman in Washington State. Her name's Tara Simmons, and she's actually running for. I'm not sure which state representative, but she'll be the first formerly incarcerated state rep.
Don't tell me that. I might have to do something in Michigan.
Yeah, she's super active in the legislature. Like she swims in those waters. So there's no reason you couldn't. I guess you just. I don't know how she does it. That's just her magic.
Right.
So.
But you know what? Think about it. We need to be there.
Yeah, you're a voice.
People need to be there that have been incarcerated, that have felt that kind of pain. I mean, we don't want people to think that we want to be brushed with a feather and talked up like we're just beautiful. We know we're not. We know we committed offense, but I'm talking about the after part. I mean, if you've had me in a cell for years, I don't want to hear nothing else when I come home. I just need to rebuild my life again.
And you can offer a really unique perspective. Like when a group of people are sitting around talking about sentence length and structure and this and that, and they have no concept of what it's like to actually be there.
Right.
Like to them, it's just a number on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll give them 25 years because that sounds good. But 25 years is a lifetime.
It is.
And if it's 25 years for marijuana possession, maybe that's a little extreme.
But it's happening. It's happening, and we're not doing anything about it. People are forgetting that we make the numbers of this world. And there are only several politicians, several leaders, but we make the world. And if we were not so divided, we would be so much better. We don't have to live together in state to agree and come in power against the same thing. And that's what we're lacking. Like, I can't be worried about what's going on in Seattle. But if you give me a call, text, email, and let me know what's going on in Seattle, and it matches up with what's going on here in Michigan and Jackson, where I'm at, we can power up right there.
Yeah, and Chicago's right next door. They're doing great things in Chicago.
They're doing great things in Chicago.
And that's not that. I guess it's 3 hours away. But do you have good connections to Chicago?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
we do. Chicago, I've only been twice, but the 2 times that I have been there, I just want to go back. They are fighting.
It's a beautiful city.
It's a beautiful city, but they're also, they got a lot of crime and stuff going on too, but they're also fighting back in Chicago. Strong, and I love that.
So you just have to stack that on top of all the other things you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's what we got to get doing in Jackson. See, this Just Leadership USA is pulling Hakeem away a lot, but guess what? Whenever he comes back, he's got this new. You guys are doing it.
He's all fired up.
He's all fired up.
And you're applying, right?
Yeah, he's all fired up, and he's got all this new stuff you guys are doing, and I love it because I'm watching incredible people rebuild their lives after incarceration like they should. It excites me because you're human. You're just a human being.
We're just people, huh?
Who have been in a dark area at one time, and that is over now. You shouldn't be held down anymore.
And we just have interesting stories.
That's all.
There's a phrase I like. It goes, it's better to have a dark past than a dim future.
I love it.
Yeah?
Think about that when you just let that seep in. I love it.
Absolutely. So now that we're here, we got some baggage, or we just got, we learned the lessons of life, so move on. And that's why it's really important to, don't let the worst decision you ever make define you forever.
And you know what? If we don't help more and more people are not going to heal from what you just spoke.
Definitely.
You're going to get out of incarceration, come out and face the world and the things that are waiting for you, and you are not going to heal. You're going to feel so heavy and down and unworthy. I had to fight all of that stuff when I got home. And I know you probably did too.
Yeah, it's like, and in my case, and that's like the tragedy of this entire situation is I had really great family support. When I got out, I had a girlfriend to drive me around to get my license, to get some clothes. And so I was really lucky. The transition part was pretty smooth. Mm-hmm. But it also really made me think, I was cognizant, wow, if I didn't have a dad to help me out here and I didn't have a girlfriend to drive me here, shit, This is
See what I mean?
That's fucked up.
And there are people coming out with nobody.
Yeah, you got nothing.
They have been kept in the prison for so long that when they do get out, they don't have any more support. Everyone has forgot them and written them off. So they're coming out, literally them against this whole big wide world that's against them. We got to stop that.
Yeah, I got a scholarship that paid for my housing, that paid for my food for the first few months of getting out. So I really landed on my feet. But if those programs didn't exist, and I was really lucky because very few people got into those programs.
They don't exist. They don't exist here.
I think you get $40 gate money in Washington. Here's
No.
$40. Here's a bus ticket. Good luck. And if you really think about it, it's like, just imagine navigating your way through the world right this moment with $40. They're going to drop you in a city, and then they expect you. It's like, well, here's $40. Go figure it out.
Yeah.
So you're going to be homeless. You're not going to have a job.
But see, that's where I would like to see, if you're going to give me $40 when I get out and tell me just go on, give me the $40 and don't give me all this extra paperwork and rules, and don't give me
all
parole.
The other stuff. Yeah.
Let me go on out there with that $40 and make magic happen without you keeping up with me, because again, reoffending and doing crimes again is an individual thing. No one can make you do that unless they have the physical control over you. But pretty much when we get out, we are the rulers of this. And we can, so looking from 2009 to 2019 now, I have been the driver of this. It has brought me from there to now I'm right here interviewing with you, and you're doing the same right now with me. So we have come from somewhere. So it is possible.
Absolutely.
And people just have to know that. But they're not going to know it if you and I don't just start taking over. These microphones are important. They reach people. And we have to reach the people that, I'm not trying to reach the college professor who's never been incarcerated. I'm not trying to reach the doctor or the lawyer. I am really trying to reach that person that has offended before, maybe never offended and is thinking about it. Those are the people we're trying to reach. We're trying to end the mass incarceration.
So have you seen a lot of your friends that you're incarcerated with transition out too? And have you, I see you kind of shake your head, so it must have had some bad stories.
No, because what happens is, Jackson, where we live, we are the central hub of all the prison systems in Michigan, all of them.
Oh, there's like a prison town?
Yeah.
A college. There's a college here, but it's also a prison town?
It's also a prison. We are the central hub. We have the central prison that when any crime is committed anywhere in Michigan, if you get sentenced to prison, you must go through Jackson first, because it is our quarantine system.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. They figure out what to do with you.
And then when you're released, because it's the central hub prison, you will transition back to the Jackson prison to even get out of the system, to get home.
It's like
no matter
the gate, the prison gate.
What we don't have is advocating. We don't have advocates for rehabilitation. We don't have a good reentry system. But this Jackson College has put one out. Kudos to this Jackson College. They have a reentry program that is starting to pick up and work. I mean, like now they have so many staff. Prisoners are getting degrees right now before even getting home because of this college.
Yeah, I heard about the degree program. What other kind of support do they offer?
What they're doing is they're actually literally sending the instructors from the college out to the prisons, and they are working right in there with the prisoners. I mean, sort of like how I'm going to school every day and I have a set schedule. They have that in prison now.
Yeah, that's what Antoine was talking about, and he says he loves it.
It's you know
the
why?
students are so hungry for knowledge.
They're so hungry because guess what? A lot of them went in with nothing. And now you got people coming in here saying that I will help you to accomplish a degree before you even get home.
Yeah, a lot of those people, they never thought college was an option. Their first time college students.
Never thought college was an option. So these are strides that are being made here, that are the strides to be made in order to make change that we can see and feel. That's one of them. So I'm excited to know that now in the next few years, some men, not the women, but the men will be coming home from prison. Do you know what that means? That means they're coming home from prison with degrees, and that's all they're going to look at. They're not coming home anymore. Oh, what am I going to do for money? Feeling down and out. They're coming home to work that piece of paper.
They got a little bit of hope.
They got that hope.
And what's the female incarceration rate in Michigan? Do you have a couple of female prisons?
We have one prison, and it holds up to 2,000 women, and it stays at the capacity of 2,000 women.
Okay.
Yeah, so we just have one. Thank goodness. I don't want to see like a whole bunch of women's. If we start seeing that around the world, we all need to just cry.
Yeah, I heard that the female incarceration rate was increasing, and I didn't know much data behind that.
It's increasing because of drugs.
A lot of drug offenses.
And it's increasing because of trauma.
So tell me all about this trauma series you're working on.
Okay, the trauma series we're working on, Hakeem started it. It's a year-long series, and he picked several speakers for this. I was the speaker and the presenter for trauma in African American black girls. I presented on that last night about. It was a really, I took it personal. It was a really impactful presentation where I presented trauma in black girls. I talked about what it was like growing up in poverty. I talked about what it was like growing up watching my parents divorce. I talked about being sexually molested as a young girl. I talked about being incarcerated at a very young age because of all of that. All of that stuff equal to trauma.
Now, is this you and Hakeem talking to a group, or how do you?
Oh yeah. What he did is he's partnered up with our local library here in Jackson, and we have a whole entire room there that seats about 35 people. And this was the third series to come out, mine. Yeah, I was number 3. And each time we packed the room. So every month a different speaker comes out to speak on the trauma series under a different category.
And then how do people find out about you?
Hakeem, he just advertised this for the whole month.
He does the marketing for it.
Yeah, and then we all share it around and make sure that everybody knows about it, and everybody that needs to be in there gets in there. They've been very impactful.
It sounds like you want to scale it. So how would you expand this program?
We are going to expand this program. We're going to take this program from informing you about trauma, is what we're doing, and then we're going to turn around and we're going to show you how it is possible to heal from trauma. That is basically what we all have to do after any traumatic event in our life. You can't live on your trauma.
Yeah, what kind of counsel, or like what kind of training do you have to deliver these messages or have that conversation?
So I delivered the black girl trauma off of my own experience. I did a lot of research and I pinned it up against my life, presented it very well. I'm proud of myself, but the other presenters are actually doctors. I mean, Hakeem he's got coaches, doctors. He's got quite a bit of us clinical. He's got some psychologists.
So you kind of have a whole group of people that come in.
Oh my gosh, he's got us mixed up in there. He's got himself in there. He's got someone in there that's coming to talk to us about diversity and inclusion.
So this is like a panel discussion talking to the audience, or do you mix with the audience and do one-on-ones?
We did it. We covered it all in one, believe it or not.
Okay.
The speaking part, we did the panel part, and then we did open questions.
Okay.
We did it all in one. And you know what? We taped this whole thing. All of them are taped. The library and Hakeem streams them live. Like, we have been getting thousands of viewers on these.
Yeah, you got to share those with me, and I'll link them to this.
Yeah, so last night
Oh, and maybe for the audio people that can only hear us, can you direct them to a website or a YouTube channel?
Yeah, Hakeem and the library hooked it up. They have it hooked up to where you can go right in under our library or under my page or Hakeem's, and you can see the full videos.
Okay, and what's your page? Are you talking about
I'm
Facebook?
just under Salena Taylor, and Hakeem's under just Hakeem, and you can find us easy on there.
Okay.
And I'm going to want to find you too. Are you on there?
I am.
Okay, yeah, we got to be friends.
Absolutely. That's next. Well, super exciting.
Yes, it is. So are you going to be coming back here to visit us, or was this just it?
Well, I went to Chicago, and then
Okay.
I bebopped over here from Chicago.
Oh, okay.
But now that I got friends here, why not?
Right, that's right.
Yeah. My grandparents lived in Kalamazoo, and that's not so far away. So,
And not only that, you know, you talk to Andre in here, and you talk to Hakeem. This is a interesting college. This is an interesting town. You should come back.
yeah. I think I drove past the Turnpike for Hope College. How far away is Hope College?
You're not even 35 minutes away from there.
Okay. Pretty
You're
close.
not. You're really close.
So the funny story is a professor at Hope College that wrote a bunch of psychology textbooks. He's the first person. He was my pen pal from prison.
Wow.
And while I was incarcerated, he sent me $1,000 to start the PSF. So his name was David Myers.
That just touched my heart.
Yeah, it was just like, because I never wanted to ask him for money because I was incarcerated, but he knew I was trying to start this nonprofit. And so he just, like, out of the blue, sent me $1,000. I was like, good luck with that thing you're doing.
Talk to me. Is this your nonprofit?
Yeah, the Prison Scholar Fund.
Oh my gosh. So this is what you do. This is what you love.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah, you and I, so we just
love
talked.
it.
So we just talked about you, and like we.
Yeah,
we
I
really
gotta.
haven't
We're
met.
done with Salena, and I gotta hear a little bit about you now.
Yeah. So long story short, I was incarcerated for about 15 years. In my case, my dad had a checkbook, so I was able to go to school. And while I was going to school, I discovered a lot of people would do the same thing because they saw me studying, they saw the changes happening to me, but they didn't have a dad with a checkbook. The Pell Grant was taken away from prisoners in '94, so you're just out of luck. So I tried to start the Prison Scholar Fund from prison. And I just struggled for years trying to do this until David Myers stepped in, and he's like, "Hey, here's $1,000." That gave us enough money to get our 501c3 status, a little bit of money to write grants, and we had postage money. And then
Wow.
from prison, we raised about $60,000, helped 110 people. Then I got out in 2015. My rebirthday was May 7th. So that was pretty cool.
That's really cool.
So I was able to get 2 degrees from Penn State before I got out.
Wow.
Then when I got out, I went through the University of Washington's nonprofit management program, and then I got into a social entrepreneurship program at Stanford, which is, if you can imagine, after 15 years, you find yourself at Stanford. That's pretty
impressive.
That's pretty amazing. And the only reason all of that happened was because I had the opportunity to go to school. You know,
Wow.
of course I busted my ass, but the point was, if that program wasn't there or that opportunity wasn't there, I'd just be watching TV and playing pinochle.
That's awesome. That is so encouraging.
So yeah, we're trying to do more of that. You know, share the story. That's why I want to share your story, because we're doing cool things. You're doing some amazing things, and let's all talk about it.
That's right. So where are you going to go after this?
Back to Chicago. I'm going to interview a couple other people.
For real?
Yeah, and then fly
So
back
do
to
you
Seattle.
find them, or do they know about you? Do you find these people?
I just kind of find them. Yeah.
And then you get their stories. You know,
Yeah.
these stories are valuable.
Yeah.
They're real.
Yeah, we're a storytelling culture.
That's
Yeah.
right.
All
Our
right.
stories are real, unique, and amazing, and people have counted us out for far too long. So I love all of this. I really, really appreciate what you're doing. I think that what you're doing is a part of the healing. A lot of people are intimidated by this stuff, and this is what they shouldn't be intimidated by. This is how to kick your intimidation's butt, is doing this, what you're doing. And that's probably where you got that passion for doing it. You were feeling better?
Yeah, something. I just ran
You and
with
this
it.
microphone had a love affair?
Yeah. Well, also, thank you so much for your time. It was great
Yes,
chatting.
Thank you.
We'll talk again.
We will. You know we will.
All right. Thank you.